All right. Have you gone through a chaotic period recently? My husband and I just moved cross country, and no matter how good we are at moving and packing, and we've done this more than once, it still feels chaotic. And my brain does not function well in chaos. So today, I thought I would share with you my top tips for recovering from chaos, no matter what that level of chaos is. I think that we all have different definitions and level of chaos and different tolerances for chaos. And if you check with me, my tolerance is pretty low. That's why I love living an organized, stress free life. That's why I love creating a business that allows me to have control of my time and to have time freedom. That's why I love creating buffers that simplify life. And I like keeping a simple life. And it may sound like a luxury to some, that may be a luxury that you cannot afford. But for some of us, if you're like me, it can be a sanity saving device, like literally cannot function in chaos. If you want April to be productive at all, if you want April to be kind at all, if you want April to act like a normal human being that does not bite everybody's head off, then April needs to operate in an environment of calm instead of an environment of chaos. So, because my tolerance of chaos is so low, and hopefully maybe your tolerance is higher, I have developed a lot of different routines and different tips to adapt to these times. So, I thought I'd share with you some of the most important ones. This will really help you if you are feeling exhausted and overwhelmed by everything that you should be doing or trying to be doing to get your life back on track. My husband and I, we just came out of Hurricane Milton and we had a bunch of big life changes because of that. And even now, I'm trying to gather my mind and I'm in a new space and a new environment, new energy, new state. But I also know that the key to stepping out of chaos and back into calm is what I'm doing right now, which is reestablishing routines. So I'm going to share with you how I do that. I'm going to share with you my bonus tip at the end, the one that I'm sharing, the thing that I have to remind myself, the tip that I have to remind myself the most, because it's the thing that I want to forget the most. So I make these videos for myself as much as for you. But in case we're meeting for the very first time, my name is April Bragg, and this is the April Bragg About Life channel, where I talk about timeless truths to help you live, love, and lead with confidence. This is for entrepreneurs. This is for leaders. This is for people who want to develop clarity and wisdom and purpose in their life. And today I want to share how I am personally recovering from chaos and the key routines that are helping me get back on track gracefully, hopefully without burnout. All right, so we're going to talk about different things like meal planning, self-care, managing work expectations. But most of all, I want to share very simple, practical tips that you can implement today. Okay, so my 3 core routines for recovering from chaos. Number 1, every single time, the very first thing I focus on is getting back to my default meal plan. What do I mean by default meal plan? Years ago, I came up with the concept of creating, instead of a new meal plan every single week to simplify grocery lists and all that, I took it a step further. This is my 7 weekly meals that are my default. If I'm not feeling creative, if I'm not feeling inspired, if we're not going out to eat, if somebody hasn't invited us over, if I haven't come up with anything else, then this is what we eat on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm not saying that I've spent the exact 7 meals over the last 10 years. I'm saying that pretty seasonally, it stays the same. For example, Taco Tuesday, Meatball Mondays, very simple, very basic meals from ingredients that I always keep stocked on hand. So, moving into a new place, the very first thing I do is as soon as possible, we get back to that. Get back to our regular meal plan. I send off an Instacart order and make sure that I have all the ingredients on hand. And because these are things that I've done cooked over and over and over again, then it's easy to get back to them. And it's beneficial for a couple of reasons. It saves so much mental space of wondering what's for dinner, what are we going to do? Should we go out to eat? Should we not? There's all that decision fatigue. Because I know what we're having for dinner, then I could then use the rest of my energy during the day doing more necessary productive things. Because honestly, there's nothing more necessary than eating. But if we can settle that ahead of time, then we can get on to other necessary things like changing all my addresses or ordering new business cards. So it reduces decision fatigue, and it also keeps us from eating out a lot. Now, I love when we move to a new area, discovering new restaurants. That, I think, is the fun of moving to a new area, discovering your new favorite restaurant. But you don't want to have to go out to eat because you have nothing planned. And eating out too many times makes us all feel blah and bloated. It puts on extra pounds, which makes it feel even more like our life is chaotic and unhealthy. And so this is all about reclaiming that calm after the chaos of a move. So create a default meal plan and send off an Instacart order. Step number 1. All right. The second routine that I reestablish are my self-care routines. And I have been doing these routines for so long that even if I'm just staying in a hotel, I try to do these things. So they are basically, they start the night before. I try to end the night watching a funny TV show because laughter helps us relax. Laughter is like medicine. It does the heart good, is what the Bible says. Merry heart doeth good like a medicine. So that is what the Bible says. So I try to laugh every single day. And that's hard when in a chaotic situation with a lot of change. My brain just doesn't want to relax enough to laugh. So I watch a TV show and just that is my way of saying, okay, we've come to the end of the day. Let's watch a TV show or two. And let's just relax. Let's laugh. Then I go to bed. I do my brushing my teeth, washing my face, those routines. I go to bed early if possible because I am more exhausted whether I know it or not. The next morning, my morning routine consists of making sure I have a good cup of coffee and journaling while I still sit in bed. That helps me keep on top of the emotional state that I'm going through during times of change, of chaos. It helps me also realize, am I in a good place to make big decisions? Am I making them from fear, or am I making them from scarcity, or am I making them from abundance and making them future directed? It is a place for me to just breathe and rest and remind myself of the promises of God, which are the promises that you want to hang on to the most when life feels chaotic. Those are some of my self-care routines. A couple other of my self-care routines is I still try to make time for a walk every single day. Walking is something that helps me physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of the above. To get out in nature and see nature, see God's handiwork, and to move my body and to let my mind just wander and to breathe in deeply. It helps all of those. I can tell a huge difference if I don't have the opportunity to take a walk for 2 or 3 days. So no matter how chaotic it is, If I can reestablish that bedtime routine, that morning routine, that walk routine. Oh, and the fourth thing, if at all possible, I still dress up. I don't feel like dressing up. I feel exhausted by change and by chaos. But if I dress up, even though it feels like it's more work up front, it also feels like it's taking care of me and that I am prepared for whatever happens in the day. If I'm meeting new people or need to run an unexpected errand or get back into work, with my coaching or with recording videos and creating content, I'm already dressed and prepared. So those are the routines that I try to get back to as soon as humanly possible. Not because I have to, but because they take care of me. And the better that I take care of myself, the better that I can then show up for my family, for my business, for others. All right. Now, we've talked about the meal routine. We've talked about the self-care routine. Now we're going to talk about the work routines. Moves are disruptful on work, especially if you're somebody like me who requires as much minimal chaos. I work well in an organized space. I will work well with routines. My clients, I tell them this up front if they're going to work with me. I tell my clients this up front if they're going to work with me, that let's schedule as much as possible for you to have the same weekly slot for coaching. Because then I can bring the best of myself to the session because I've already been thinking about you. I've been thinking about the last session and anticipating what might be going on in your life for the coming up session. And it just comes from this understanding that the better I take care of me, the primary asset in my business, the better I can serve my clients at the highest level. So I don't see this as a selfish consideration. I see it as a in service to my clients to bring the best of my brain and my coaching abilities to them in their life, because that's what they're hiring me for, is to help them find a higher perspective or to find alternate strategies or to discover what might be holding them back from something they truly desire in their life. I try to keep those routines as much as possible. But on the work side also, there's a million things that we can do to grow our business and to do better. But I like to define what are the minimal. Like if life doesn't permit you to be operating at 100%, what are the minimal pieces that are required in the business to function? And ideally, you want those minimal things to be about 50%. You want to not require 98% of your cognitive functioning to keep up with the minimum standards in your business. That's an unrealistic expectation of life and how smoothly it runs, because it does not run this smoothly. For example, if I work an average of 20 hours a week, what's the minimal amount of work? If I only have 10 hours a week, or if I only have 5 hours a week, what are the things that must be done, first of all? And make sure those things get done, first of all. So that's how I look at my business, as identify the main thing. The main thing is to keep the main thing. And if we focus on the most important things, then we can relax knowing that everything else is less important. It sounds too simple, but it's so helpful. So identify those 3 to 5 things that are very essential to the operation of your business. Make sure that those are in place. Then, as you recover and as life for you settles down after whatever the chaotic situation in your life has been, then you can go the extra mile. You can set up automations. You can look for delegations. You can create projects again. You can bring way more creativity to your business. But just don't hold yourself to that creative standard when you're coming out of chaos. or when you're in the middle of chaos. So, in work routines, lower your expectations, focus on the essentials, and remind this is what I have to remind myself. I created this business so that I would have time freedom, so that I wouldn't feel like I had to punch the clock for 40 hours a week, so that I would have the flexibility that I desire in my business. In a way, my business was created for exactly these types of situations to support me and to support others in these types of situations. So, therefore, lean into the fact that is one of the real core reasons why I am an entrepreneur. So, I have to remind myself, what is the hurry? I did not create a business to be a slave to urgency. I created it for this freedom of time, and this season of change for me is an opportunity to slow down and enjoy the process. So then when I think, how can I slow down and enjoy the process? I realize, that's what I've just been talking about. Get the core things done and then go for a walk. It is fall here where we're at. The leaves are changing, the leaves are falling, the weather is gorgeous. Get out and enjoy it. There will always be more opportunity tomorrow to do more. And it's very important that I think we recognize that we are energy beings. And if we try to do too much today, we are actually borrowing energy from tomorrow. And if we do not give ourselves enough recovery time, then we are going into a deficit. And when we go into a deficit, we have to pay interest. It takes more for us to recover from exhaustion than to just recover from a day's exertion. Okay? It takes more for us to recover from exhaustion than from a normal day's exertion. So pace yourself accordingly. Sufficient unto today is the evil thereof. Pace yourself. Don't be forcing yourself into exhaustion and then the next day finding out that you can do even less because you're too tired and trying to recover from overworking the day before. All right. Now, here is the bonus tip. Here's the tip that I have said many times, and I will say it many more times. It's all about progress over perfection. When we moved into this new house, my little brain wants to say, you cannot relax until everything is put away and everything is hung up. And there's a sense where I will not fully relax in my new space until that is true. But also, it's okay that there are still some boxes that need to be unpacked. There are still some pictures that need to be hung. There's actually no boxes that need to be unpacked. I unpacked those in the first day and a half. But there are pictures that still need to be hung up. This is the benefit of being a minimalist, by the way. You don't have as many boxes as the typical household. But there's still things that are undone and that are going to remain undone because it just takes time. So instead of focusing on what is still left to do and just keep on pushing myself, I remind myself, this is what I got done today. Celebrate the progress instead of always pushing for that perfection. Catch yourself. Don't be beating up on yourself. So one of the ways that I do this is I just create a to-do list of all the things that I would like to do. And then the night before, I focus on what's the one or two things that I'm going to aim to get done. So maybe it's ordering curtains. Tomorrow I'll look at ordering curtains or changing our forwarding addresses. But I will appreciate what I got done. I will remind myself to appreciate what I got done instead of focusing on what's not done yet. At least that's my goal. I notice I also get very grumpy at my husband when he says, we need to blah, blah, blah. And it's on my to-do list, but it's not something that I did today. And the reason I get grumpy at him You got to tell me in the comments if this affects you. The reason I get grumpy at him is not because he's accusing me of not getting stuff done. It's because I'm accusing me of not getting stuff done. And his words are triggering that little, yeah, you could have gotten that done. Why didn't you get that done? You meant to get that done. And it's like, whoa, relax. Be aware of myself. No, it'll all get done eventually. Today, we focused on this. And now is the time to go and relax. Enjoy dinner, watch that funny TV show, get to bed on time, step into my self-care routine so that the next day I can wake up and step into my self-care routine, step into my work routines. Progress over perfection. It's just the story of the tortoise and the hare again. That slow, steady progress will get us to the goal way faster than hard sprints that we have to recover from, going hard and then burning out. It's not profound. It's just lessons that you become more sure of as you reach your late 40s. I hope that this has helped you. If this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe for more tips on finding balance in the midst of chaos. And let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear this. What's one routine that you're working to reestablish in your life to bring more calm into a chaotic life? And are there any other topics that you'd like to see me address? Put those in the comments and maybe I will create a video in the future. All right? All right. Let's talk again soon. Bye-bye.